First, we're going to talk about Sarkozy, the ex-French president. He's going to jail for 10 years. My brother, France is not your random shithole country. No doubt about that. And then we're going to go to Cameroon. Well, Cameroon is a shithole country. No, I'm just kidding. In Cameroon, 13 foreign nationals from Madagascar and the DRC have been found blocked in a human traffic ring in Cameroon. So Cameroonians running human trafficking organization in Cameroon. Crazy stuff. You gotta find out about that. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. We're gonna make very quick. Okay. Now, Nicolas Sarkozy, this man right here, very charismatic, ex-president of France. He's going to jail for 10 years. I know that's kind of thing don't happen in Africa. In Africa, usually, if a president was bad, he's just gonna get killed by coup d'etat, or he's going to exile, or nothing ever is gonna happen to him. But not in France. Well, in France, if you do bad things, you might have to pay for it, even if you're a president. As opposed to Africa, presidents are like kings. There's nothing you can do to a president. There's nothing you can try to organize against a president. The president is God. That's the truth. So, France ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy is in trial and he's probably going to go to jail for 10 years. After 10 weeks of trial, France's financial prosecutor are set to present their case against the former president Nicolas Sarkozy and his co-defendant, including 3 ex-ministers, starting Tuesday afternoon. The prosecution will outline its sentencing request over 2.5 days, with final recommendation expected on Thursday. Sarkozy, 70 years old, is accused of striking a corruption pact with the Libyan leader Gaddafi in late 2005 to finance his victorious 2007 presidential campaign, an allegation he has denied from the outset. Salif al-Islam Gaddafi, testimony, son of Muhammad Gaddafi, claimed he was pressured by Sarkozy intermediaries to alter his testimony regarding the alleged Libyan financing the 2007 campaign. It's crazy stuff, okay, but I'm going to try to do very quickly because we don't have a lot of time. Now, Nicolas Sarkozy is this guy. Before he became president, he was a minister of interior of France. He took a flight to Libya to meet the president of Libya at the time, Muhammad Gaddafi. The goal was to discuss with the Libyan president saying, listen, we know that a lot of Africans are trying to get into Europe, and most of them go through Libya. Can you do us a favor and stop them? By stop them, you know what it means. You know, taking these people, beating them up, putting them in jail, making their lives as uncomfortable as possible so that they denounce and renounce their objectives and goals of going to Europe.
Si on veut contrôler les choses sur la Méditerranée, on a besoin, avec l'Algérie, avec le Maroc, avec la Tunisie et avec la Libye, d'une coopération.
After Sarkozy saw Gaddafi, he had a little conversation with Muhammad Gaddafi. He pulled him to the side and said, hey, listen, let's talk about this. In that discussion, apparently Sarkozy has proposed to Gaddafi something very interesting. He said, your reputation is not very good across the world. In an international scene, people don't see you really well. Let me try to do a good job of cleaning your image up internationally, and you can finance me, finance me because I'm trying to run the election so I can become president. And when I become president, I'll even do a much better job. So Gaddafi heard that. He was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Then Sarkozy left. After Sarkozy left, he sent some of his people to Gaddafi, coming and getting money in bags, dollars in bags. You need to have cash, my brother. Don't do everything in electronics. They're going to trace everything. Please don't do that. Just keep bags, like the president of South Africa, keeping money under the chairs. Anyway, let's get back on track. So many of Sarkozy people went to Libya to get money for Sarkozy presidential campaign. The amount of money accumulated around $50 million. That's the money that Gaddafi sent to Sarkozy. And Sarkozy used that money for his election, and he had won the election. After winning the election, Sarkozy changed his view and made Gaddafi his biggest enemy. After doing that, the son of Gaddafi said openly, saying, why is Sarkozy doing this? Why is he attacking my father? Because my father gave him the money to win the election.
Ça, c'est le document de projet, si j'ose dire, d'appui ou de soutien financier à la campagne présidentielle du président Sarkozy.
Qu'est-ce qu'il dit, ce document?
Nous vous demandons de verser la somme de 50 millions d'euros ici.
Then that is when Sarkozy pushed very hard because he didn't want the secret to come out, asking the United States of America to come with him to go and bombard Libya. That is how they destroyed Libya and they took this man out. But let's get back to track so you can understand the entire history. Why did we get to that? Well, Muammar Gaddafi has always been a big fan of his own continent. He loves Africa. He loves Libya. Well, Libya for many, many years was very close to international businesses, meaning the Libyan wanted to run Libya as itself. There was no international companies such as American and European company working in Libya because Gaddafi did not want to be exploited by imperialism. So he trying to construct a system that was appropriate for Africans in Libya. He didn't want to cooperate with Americans and other people because he knew they were coming to Libya to loot and steal. And Americans and British and all of them did not like that. In many occasions, they actually thought about opportunities to go and topple Gaddafi in Libya. So, in other words, companies like KFC, McDonald's, I'm just giving you things you're going to understand, Pizza Hut and all that stuff, Walmart, were not allowed in Libya at all. Does that remind you something? Yes, North Korea, very similar. Okay, maybe not the policies, but international businesses were not allowed in Libya. Now, was Libya struggling? No, Libya was not struggling. Libya had abundance of oil in the country. So Gaddafi could run and make sure the oil was profiting to the human beings in Libya. Matter of fact, Libya was not a democracy, but in Libya, the revenue of oil after being sold externally was given in percentage to the population of Libya. They come to your door and knock, hey brother, are you awake? We are paying you a percentage for the oil we sold to the foreigners. That's how Libyans live. So Libyans literally had nothing to worry about. Gaddafi did a tremendous job with the country. Gaddafi made the biggest irrigation project ever in the world. So Libya itself was a very dry country in the beginning. What Gaddafi did, people couldn't do agriculture or any other thing. He started the biggest irrigation project, bringing water from the sea to the continent. So he made a big hole of water from the sea into the country. That changed the entire landscape of Libya, making it flourishing. That is when he encouraged people to launch themselves into agricultural activities. So what he did was, you can come and say you want to be an agriculturer, a farmer. We're going to give you equipment. We're going to give you land. We're going to give you funding. We're going to give you a trainer to train you. You don't have to pay anything. You just work and produce bananas, potatoes, ananas, whatever. Do it. And when you feel like you want to give some money back, you can do that. That's what Gaddafi did for his people. In Libya, whenever a couple made a child, the government will give them $5,000. That was Libya. And an apartment. So I'm not going to dive into the depth of it because there's a lot of things. Gaddafi did a lot of good things for Libyans and for Africans. Matter of fact, Africa many years ago never used to have satellites for telecommunication. You know, you need a satellite for telecommunication to make a phone call. Back in time, Africans used a satellite from Europe where they paid about $400 million to use that satellite. In other words, in your country, let's say you lived in a capital, in order for you to make a phone call to the person living in the next house, your phone call will first go to Europe, get routed by a European satellite, then get back to your country. So you make a phone call, instead of leaving your house to the next house, it first goes to Europe and gets routed to your house. Because Africans did not have a satellite of telecommunication and it was very expensive. What happened later was the Africans came together saying, let's try to put money together so we can buy a satellite. As you know, I'm trying to make it very fast. Africans cannot come together for nothing, for shit. Sorry. The thing where Africans come together for is when you want to destroy somebody else. Then they're going to come. When they say, let's put $10 so we can buy a satellite. Nobody wants to do it. People are too busy. Their mothers is sick in the hospital. They don't have time. It's always stories. But when it comes to, okay, let's destroy, then they go destroy and burn whoever's house, trying to progress in life. Now, anyway, with the Africans, it was the same thing. They couldn't put together $500 million to buy their own satellite. Gaddafi said, I'm going to give you $400 million. How about that? From my own money. You Africans, black sub-Saharan Africans, put together 100 million. He could have paid 500 million, but he wanted you not to be lazy. That's when Africans could then have their own satellites and the calls could be routed into South Africa and the price came drastically down. Anyway, let's continue. Now, after that, Libya of Gaddafi had some project, a project for nuclear. He was planning on building his nuclear bomb as well for themselves, for protection purpose. Somebody convinced him, say, listen, you need to be good to America and all that. You need to stop that project. Okay, you need to open the door to Americans and Western nations and companies. And that's how you're going to be. I believe it's probably going to be Sarkozy that told him all of that. Libya in 2000 opened its door to all these big companies. They all entered. Even he wasn't very trusting of them. He still condemned imperialism. He opened the door eventually to foreign companies to operate in Libya. He abandoned his project of having a nuclear bomb in Libya. Then guess what happened later? That is when Sarkozy and his friend Obama went and destroyed Libya. They unalived the president and took him out. But then later on, the sons of Libyan president said openly on many interviews, Sarkozy is a weird human being because he came to our house and he received money, about $50 million from my father. And that's the reason, or at least one of the reasons why he won the elections. And it's shocking to see him command an operation to destroy my father.
Firstly, Sarkozy must repay to Libya the money he took for his election campaign. We financed his election campaign and we have all the details and are ready to publish them. The first thing we ask of this clown Sarkozy is that he repay the money to the Libyan people. We helped him become president so he'd help the Libyan people, but he's disappointed us, and very soon we'll publish all the details and the documents and banking payslips.
Karma, is it a reality? Do you believe if something wrong is done, you're going to pay for it? I don't know, but is this a reality? Now, a case was opened. Prosecution came after Sarkozy for receiving money from a Libyan president, calling it a case of corruption pact with the Libyan president in 2005. So he's probably going to go to jail for 10 years and pay about $375,000 fine for that. That's the reality of Libya. I know I've done it very quickly so you can understand. Maybe next time, if you're very interested in this story, say we want the full package. And I'm going to work on a very slow video of about 45 minutes explaining to you what had happened in Libya in detail. So that's what it is, fellas. Ex-president of France, Sarkozy, even though he defended himself many times on TV, saying that he never took any money, finally, they have proof. They have transactional proofs. They bought houses at an expensive price. You know how they do money laundering. They will buy a house that's very cheap, but at a very expensive price, just to show you that, So they've traced him. They know exactly what happened. And now it's sad to him. It's sad time. Let me know if you feel about this. Is this a good pleasure? Is this a good pleasure for you? Gaddafi was a great man of Africa. Gaddafi wanted Africa to come together. Gaddafi said Africans should utilize what they have as riches, such as gold. Gaddafi said we should use gold for trade and stop using paper money, because whoever came up with the paper money idea, who started that story, who printed papers and said this, for now, this paper's got value. Value used to be gold and riches. Gaddafi said, let's create a currency based in gold. We'll call it the dinar. Let's exchange in gold and let's see who is actually rich in this world and who is poor. Well, that's what's going to scramble the dollar. It was going to destroy European Western civilization, because Africans and people that really have gold would have been the richest people in the world. That's one of the reasons why they took him out. But they probably told you it's a dictator who was unaliving his people. Remember that speech from Obama? Listen to this.
The United States and the world faced a choice. Gaddafi declared he would show no mercy to his own people. He compared them to rats and threatened to go door to door to inflict punishment.
Which people? After they took out Gaddafi, the same people they imported to take out Gaddafi are the same people that have become the terror in that space. Libya is ungovernable right now. It's the wild, wild west. It's bad. They've destroyed it. This is Libya before, while Gaddafi was still alive. And this is Libya after the democracy, the Western democracy. God bless.